Do you think it was uniting or dividing while in the midst of these fires for the Democrats to go to Sacramento and in an emergency session vote to appropriate $50 million to Trump-proof California, to sue the Trump administration, which hasn't even taken office yet? Do you think that was a good priority and a good time to do that or no? Was that dividing? Was that divisive or was that uniting?
Over on CNN, they continue to do coverage of the California fires, and some of the liberals that sit at the panels there with Scott Jennings, they're very upset. You know, the major problem in Los Angeles right now is not that people have lost their homes and their valuables, and then at least, what is it, up to 20 people now have lost their lives. Schools are burnt down. Infrastructure is burnt down. It will take years for people to rebuild. They've lost fortunes. They've lost livelihoods. It's just a horrific human loss. But that's not the big problem. The big problem is misinformation, and misinformation dividing the people at a time where we need to come together. At least that's what this guy said on the panel, until Scott Jennings sort of corrected the record.
I think also in this environment right now, where immediately there's disinformation flowing through social media networks that cleaves down partisan lines, that is stopping our ability to be united. And we should not just accept that as inevitable. That is weakening our ability to unite as a nation and as cities.
Let me answer your criticism by asking you a question.
Sure.
Do you think it was uniting or dividing while in the midst of these fires for the Democrats to go to Sacramento and in an emergency session vote to appropriate $50 million to Trump-proof California, to sue the Trump administration, which hasn't even taken office yet? Do you think that was a good priority and a good time to do that or no? Was that dividing? Was that divisive or was that uniting?
Scott, I think what Sacramento does, and by the way, I think the focus should be entirely on the firefighting. And I'm not going to go take that, bait, because I don't know the details of that particular bill.
They voted to appropriate $50 million to sue.
I'm not going to take that bait. I'm not going to take that bait. I'm not going to answer a factual question and actually tell you the truth. And I'm not familiar with it. I love when they bring people onto these news panels to talk about the news issues, and they don't actually know the basics of what's going on in the news. Scott Jennings, of course, does, and that is 100% true. That's what happened yesterday. California, they called this special assembly in Sacramento of the state legislature and the state Senate. A special session. So you're in the middle of the fires in Sacramento. Totally Democrat dominated, super majority. Literally, Republicans don't have any say in anything in Sacramento. All right. And the Democrats call a special session in the middle of the fires. What? To address, support for fighting the fires, for allocating more funds for fire safety, for water, undo all the stupid laws they did so you can actually funnel some water down there and fill the reservoirs again, anything. You can, immediately hire more emergency personnel, whatever. No. That's not what the special session was about. It had nothing to do with the fires. In fact, it had nothing to do with the state of California. They called a special session in Sacramento of the state legislature to Trump-proof the state of California. They debated and discussed and passed bills into law so that they could authorize money to sue Donald Trump's administration before he even becomes president. That's what they did in Sacramento. And Jennings points out, said, you want to talk about divisive? I'm sorry, you think things are getting divided right now because people are expressing their opinions about the failures of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats in California and how it's now resulted in billions of dollars of lost homes and property because of these fires and lives, not to mention? You want to talk about divisive? What about the legislature calling a session to stop Trump? And this guy says, well, the emphasis should be on the fires, so I'm not going to take that bait. Wait, if the emphasis should be on the fires, then you should be angry at what they did in Sacramento. I'm not going to take that bait. Jennings wasn't done, by the way, on the panel. Again, I love the work that he does here on the panel. Check out this discussion here, led by the host of CNN there. By the way, she is outraged, unbelievably outraged at something Speaker Mike Johnson said yesterday. And it's a very simple notion. This is, I believe, like the 7th or 8th massive destructive wildfire in the state of California while Gavin Newsom has been governor. And they keep turning to Washington, D.C. for federal aid. And you'll remember in 2019 when President Donald Trump said, all right, listen, we're going to give you aid, but you got to do something here. You've got to do something to help store water in the reservoirs. You've got to do something to reroute water and screw that delta smelt that you're trying to protect, or the salmon hatcheries for Native Americans. You've got to actually put in a deforestation project to clear this underbrush so you don't have all this dry fuel so the wildfires can go out of control. We're going to help you, but you've got to now prove to us that you're going to do something proactive and not let this happen again, because we can't keep sending good money after bad if you're not actually going to do something proactive to stop these fires from happening, or at the very least, be prepared to put the fires out when the fires do happen, right? So Mike Johnson said this, says, yeah, okay, we'll talk about aid for California, but we're going to add some conditions to it. And you would think that based on the reaction of this panel and the CNN host, you would think that Mike Johnson just proposed shredding the Declaration of Independence. Watch this remarkable conversation go forward. It is the most common sense thing anyone in America can ever utter, that California should have some conditions put on the new federal aid they're asking for. But everyone is dumbfounded, except Scott Jennings. And, well, he does what Scott Jennings does.
House, I have to say, has said today that he would like to condition aid to California.
Yes.
Condition aid to California.
This
Of
is
course,
why-
you are okay with conditioning aid.
I said
to
it. I
people
said
who are
it the
dealing
night
with
of this. The night
fires
that
in
this started. I said on your show, there ought to be conditions on aid, because
so the next
obviously
time Florida
What
or
conditions?
Louisiana is dealing with a
That's why I
hurricane,
mentioned Katrina.
Yes.
Look,
you want that aid to be conditional upon Washington dictating policy
I
decisions
want it-
in those states.
I want it to be conditional on knowing whether or not the state of California, in this case, is going to enact local policy decisions on forest management, on water resources management.
Well, let me
What's
ask
so
wrong-
that it
what's wrong
doesn't
with that?
happen
I mean, What's
again.
wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Let me ask that. Okay, if the Democratic controlled House decided, you know what, in Florida they really should not be building those houses on the water. It's climate change is happening. That aid that we give you is going to be conditional upon you preventing the building of anything along in all those areas that are prone to hurricanes. You would be okay with that?
If you could pass that through the United States Congress, more power
I'm
to you.
just-
But
I'm just
if
asking.
you're
Hold
not-
on. I'm the
Because
lawyer
the
here. We
reality-
have rules like that all the time.
Yeah.
You have to build around Coney Island in Brooklyn. If you're going to build something, it's got to be built in a certain way. So you're going to get the money. It's got to be built. So it's
But a
hard.
blank-
Arthur,
but
thank you.
but a
So
blank
Arthur is
check-
pointing out that is very much something that Congress could do. Would you be okay with that?
I am not for a blank check to a state that has clearly failed and doesn't know how to manage fires. I would like to see a partnership between the state and Washington so that whatever money is being spent. Look, I don't live in California.
So now we're talking about a partnership.
But if you want us to send you billions upon billions of dollars, we need to have some assurances that you're not going to flush it the way you maybe have flushed
Okay,
it
well, people
previously.
don't have
This-
homes, and
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things here, and you may think that was a really clever sort of what if scenario. Well, what if Democrats put conditions on people building houses? No one's putting conditions on California because people built houses where there might be a forest fire, because guess what? Then you wouldn't be able to build a house anywhere in Southern California, because the entire place is an arid desert-like climate. This isn't about where you built the house, all right? What has Florida done over the last several years whenever they have hurricanes? They have proven that they actually have the tools to, number one, evacuate people and get them out of danger as the hurricane is coming. Number two, whatever damage is there, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, had a fleet of electric trucks electric repair trucks. Not trucks run on electricity, but trucks that are meant to bring up power lines if they are down. He had a fleet of them, and the people standing by 12 hours before the hurricane touched ground, they were in a safe place. They were ready to go the second the hurricane blew over. The rapid response was incredible. A bridge that was busted down by the hurricane that hit 2 years ago down in Naples, Florida. He rebuilt that bridge and had people back onto the island within 3 days, I think, of the hurricane. They have proven that they can respond quickly and efficiently with wise government provisions. And by the way, there already are conditions put on aid to states like Florida over climate change and flooding and danger zones. And Florida has already enacted their own proactive measures on where you can build and where you can't build based on rising sea levels and based on others. So don't even give me that. California isn't even close to Florida on that. And of course there should be conditions put on this. Why wouldn't there be? That's exactly how you would treat your children if they continue to waste your money that you keep giving them. It's outrageous. And good for Scott Jennings to actually push back on that and prove that the CNN panel is really completely out of touch with what the American people are truly thinking. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts and regulation changes. Learn why right now gold is a viable diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold, the only company I endorse, is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. I think he knows what he's talking about. To get your free copy along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text my name, Larry, Larry, to the number 989898. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on that national debt continue to increase. Gold is still your hedge against a weakened dollar, and Birch Gold is still the company I recommend to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, and that's without a penny out of your pocket. Text Larry, Larry, to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. No obligation, only information. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. You too can turn to Birch Gold. Text Larry to 989898. Do that today. Do it right now. Do it. Are you done? Did you do it? Did you do it?